Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something really, really important. It's how to stay strong as we age. How to keep that youthful muscle strength. And get this, by the time we hit 80, we can lose like half of our muscle mass. Can you believe that? Half. And you know what? We're going to reveal a habit at the very end of this. It might just be the most important one of all. So stay tuned.
It's a scary thought, Sarah. And it's not just about feeling a bit weaker, it has real consequences. We're talking about over 50 million seniors globally dealing with this age-related muscle loss, what's called sarcopenia, and it really impacts their independence. Like, just think about it. Falls from muscle weakness, over 300,000 hospitalizations every year. It's a big deal.
It is. It's a huge wake-up call. But here's the thing. There's some hope, too. Research from the Journal of Physiology, they say this massive muscle loss, it's not a guarantee. It doesn't have to happen to everyone. We see a lot of folks in their 70s, 80s struggling with everyday things. But then there's this other group, those who seem to defy aging.
The superagers, right? I love that term. They're seniors, but they've got the strength, the energy, even the looks of people way younger. You see them in their 90s, hiking, playing sports, living life to the fullest, totally independent. It makes you wonder, what's their secret sauce?
Exactly. And that's what scientists at places like the Mayo Clinic and Harvard, they've been studying these amazing people. And they found specific things they do, daily habits that can really slow down, even reverse this muscle loss. Get this, 93% of older adults, they've never even heard of these strategies.
93%.
Wow.
That's almost everyone. So today we're diving deep into these habits. We're going to unpack what makes these superagers so strong, what they do differently. And believe me, the first habit we'll talk about, it's something you deal with every day, probably without even thinking about it, but getting it right could be the key to staying independent for years to come.
All right, let's jump into this first habit. It's all about what we call hormetic stressors. Now, I know that sounds a little complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple.
Hormetic stressors, you're talking about stressing our bodies out on purpose. What's that all about?
Basically, hormesis, it's the idea that a little bit of stress, the right kind of stress, can actually make us stronger and healthier in the long run. It's like giving your body a little nudge, a challenge that helps it adapt and become more resilient. And guess what? Those superagers, they do this all the time. The Buck Institute for Research on Aging, they've done some really cool research showing that these short bursts of stress can actually trigger all these protective mechanisms within our cells, which helps keep our muscles healthy as we age. Think of it like this. Your body's like, whoa, what is this challenge? And it goes into overdrive, trying to protect itself, and that actually makes it stronger.
So what are some examples of these good stresses we can add to our lives?
Well, a great one is temperature variation. It can be as simple as ending your shower with a quick blast of cold water, like 30 to 60 seconds. Or even those cold plunges, if you're brave enough. Studies have shown that cold exposure can help stimulate brown fat, which helps burn calories, and it can also enhance mitochondrial biogenesis. That means your body actually creates more mitochondria, which are the powerhouses of your cells. They give your muscles energy. And cold exposure also activates adiponectin, a hormone that protects your muscles.
Wow, a cold shower can do all that. What about heat?
Heat's great too. Saunas or hot baths, they activate these things called heat shock proteins. And these proteins are like little repairmen that go around fixing up damaged muscle cells and preventing muscle breakdown. There's even a study from Finland. They found people who used a sauna like 4 to 7 times a week, they had 40% less muscle loss over 10 years. Can you imagine? 40%. That's huge.
That's incredible. Okay, so we've got cold, we've got heat. What else falls under these hormetic stressors?
Intermittent fasting. That's also known as time-restricted eating. Basically, you eat within a specific window, like 8 to 10 hours each day. And what happens? It kicks off this process called autophagy.
Autophagy, that's like the body's spring cleaning, right?
Exactly. Your cells go into cleanup mode. They get rid of all the junk and damaged parts. And this is so important for muscle health. It's like giving your muscles a tune-up. The Salk Institute, they found that just restricting your eating window can improve the function of those little powerhouses in your muscles, the mitochondria, by 10% in 12 weeks. And that's not even counting weight loss.
So it's not just what you eat, but when you eat it. That's fascinating. You mentioned one more example, something about muscle contractions.
Yeah, this was pretty cool. It's called overcoming isometrics. Basically, you push or pull against something that won't move, like a wall, as hard as you can for just a few seconds, like 5 to 10 seconds. And believe it or not, this sends a super strong signal to your muscles to stay strong and keep their size. And the best part is, it doesn't strain your joints like some exercises can.
So I can get a workout just by pushing against a wall. That's wild. So the key here is to keep these stressors short, right?
Right.
And then give our bodies time to recover.
You got it. That's the magic formula. Short bursts of stress followed by recovery. It's like training your body to become more resilient. And these stressors, they can actually activate these cool things called longevity genes, like sirtuins and FOXOs, which help your body repair and maintain your muscles. But remember, you want to start slow and gradually increase the intensity. Don't overdo it.
Great advice. So that's habit number one, incorporating those hormetic stressors. Now let's talk about habit number two, protein timing. I think most people know protein is important for muscles, but why is timing so important?
That's a great question, John. You see, as we get older, our muscles can become a bit resistant to protein's muscle-building effects. It's called anabolic resistance. In a study in the Journal of Nutrition, they found that it's better to spread out our protein intake throughout the day rather than having one big protein-heavy meal. It's like if you try to cram all your studying into one night before a test, you won't retain as much as if you spread it out over time, right? Same idea with protein and muscles.
Anabolic resistance. So our muscles get a little lazy as we age, huh? So what's the best way to time our protein intake?
The ideal window to really maximize muscle growth after a meal is about 3 to 4 hours. But what do a lot of seniors do? They have a small breakfast, a light lunch, and then bam, a huge dinner loaded with protein.
So it's like they're starving their muscles for most of the day and then overwhelming them at night.
Pretty much. What we want to do is provide our muscles with a steady stream of protein throughout the day. So aim for about 25 to 30 grams of protein with each meal. For breakfast, skip the plain toast and cereal. Instead, go for eggs, Greek yogurt, maybe a protein smoothie. For lunch and dinner, include lean meats, fish, or plant-based proteins like lentils and beans.
Sounds easy enough. What kind of results can people expect from just changing their protein timing?
Well, research suggests that spreading out your protein intake can boost muscle protein synthesis by as much as 25%. That means your muscles become 25% better at using the protein to build and repair themselves. And there was a study from the University of Texas. They found that people who only focused on protein timing without making any other changes gained an average of 1.2 pounds of muscle in just 12 weeks. Pretty amazing, right?
That's impressive. Okay, on to habit number three, optimizing vitamin D levels. Most people associate vitamin D with bone health. What's the connection to muscle strength?
You're right, John. But vitamin D is actually super important for muscles, too. Researchers even call it the muscle vitamin. You see, vitamin D deficiency, it's incredibly common in seniors. Like over 80% don't get enough. And get this, researchers at Harvard, they found that vitamin D actually switches on the genes that are responsible for building muscle. Your muscle cells even have special receptors for vitamin D. And when vitamin D binds to those receptors, it's like sending a signal to build and maintain muscle.
So it's not just keeping our bones strong, it's directly involved in building muscle itself.
That's interesting. How does having good vitamin D levels actually impact muscle strength?
Well, there's a study in JAMA Internal Medicine. They found that seniors with good vitamin D levels had 25% greater muscle strength than those who were deficient. They also had better balance, coordination, and faster reaction times, which is so important for preventing falls, especially as we age. Think about those superagers. They consistently have vitamin D levels above 40 nanograms per milliliter. But most seniors, they're way below that, often less than 20, which is considered deficient. That's a big difference. So how can seniors make sure they're getting enough vitamin D? I know sunlight is a good source, but is it enough as we get older?
Sunlight is great, but as we age, our skin doesn't convert sunlight to vitamin D as efficiently. We actually lose about half of that ability as we get older. So a lot of seniors need to consider supplements. The usual recommendation of 600 IUs per day, it's often not enough. Most experts now say older adults need somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000 IU daily. But of course, the best thing is get your blood levels checked and talk to your doctor. They can tell you exactly what you need. And don't forget about vitamin D-rich foods. Fatty fish like salmon, egg yolks, fortified milk, those can help too. And try to get some midday sun whenever possible.
You mentioned something about vitamin D working together with another vitamin. What was that about?
Oh, right. Vitamin D works hand in hand with vitamin K2. You see, vitamin D helps your body absorb calcium from food. But vitamin K2, it's like the traffic cop. It directs that calcium to your bones, where it's supposed to be, and keeps it out of your arteries where it can cause problems. You can usually find K2 in fermented foods like sauerkraut or natto, and in some animal products too. Some people worry that taking a lot of vitamin D without enough K2 might lead to calcium buildup in the arteries. So that's why it's important to pay attention to both vitamins. Again, the best thing to do is get your vitamin D levels tested and talk to your doctor about what's right for you. Aiming for that sweet spot above 40 ng/ml can make a huge difference in your muscle strength and overall health.
Got it. Okay, on to habit number 4, managing inflammation. You mentioned superagers have very low levels of inflammation. Why is that so important for strong muscles?
It's all connected. Chronic inflammation, it's like this silent fire smoldering in the body, and it can really accelerate muscle loss as we age. This low-grade inflammation, it's sometimes called inflammaging, it basically ramps up the breakdown of muscle protein and messes with those signals that tell your muscles to grow after exercise or when you eat protein.
Yeah.
There's a study from Tufts University. They found that seniors with high inflammation markers lost muscle 3 times faster than those with lower levels, even when they exercised and ate enough protein. 3 times. That's wild.
Wow. So inflammation is a serious muscle killer. What can we do to combat this inflammation? What are those anti-inflammatory secrets that these superagers are using?
Well, they pay close attention to a few key areas. First off, sleep. Getting enough quality sleep is crucial. We're talking 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep in a dark room. Why? Because lack of sleep can actually crank up the production of these inflammatory molecules, called cytokines, by as much as 40%. That's like throwing fuel on the fire of inflammation. Next up, gut health. Research from the University of California has found that an imbalance in gut bacteria can contribute to more inflammation in seniors. And guess what? Superagers, they love their fiber. They aim for over 30 different plant foods each week, and they include fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, all those good probiotics that help keep the gut happy and healthy.
So a diverse diet, plenty of fiber, and good gut bacteria, those are key for keeping inflammation in check. What else do they do?
They're smart about their exercise. Regular exercise is great, but too much intense exercise, especially for seniors, can actually increase inflammation. It's about finding that sweet spot. Consistent, moderate intensity exercise most days, with maybe 1 or 2 sessions of high-intensity interval training, is ideal. And of course, they pay attention to what they eat. They include those anti-inflammatory powerhouses in their diet. Omega-3 fatty acids, aim for about 2 to 3 grams daily, either from fatty fish or a good quality supplement. Curcumin from turmeric, that's a great one too. And lots of polyphenols from berries, green tea, and extra virgin olive oil. There's a study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. They found that this combination of foods can actually lower inflammation markers by almost 29% in just 12 weeks.
Sounds like a delicious and effective strategy. Is there a way to actually measure inflammation in our bodies?
Absolutely. There's a simple blood test called high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, or HSCRP. It gives you a snapshot of your inflammation levels. Those superagers, they usually have HSCRP levels below 1 milligram per liter, but the average senior, they're often 3 to 5 times higher. It's definitely a good thing to keep an eye on and discuss with your doctor.
Okay, habit number 5. This one's all about specific vitamins and minerals. You mentioned that even if we're eating enough protein and exercising, muscle decline can still happen if we're lacking certain nutrients. Why are these micronutrients so important for muscle health?
Think of it this way, John. Protein and exercise, they're like the building materials and the construction crew for your muscles. But these vitamins and minerals, they're the essential tools, the screwdrivers, hammers, and nails that the crew needs to get the job done right. Without them, the whole process just doesn't work as efficiently.
I like that analogy. So let's start with the first one, magnesium. You called it the overlooked electrolyte. Why is it so vital for muscle strength?
Well, researchers at the University of Vermont, they say magnesium deficiency is a big problem in seniors. More than 70% don't get enough. And magnesium, it's a busy mineral. It's involved in over 300 processes in the body, and a lot of them are super important for muscles, like how they contract and relax. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, this was just in 2021, they found that seniors with good magnesium levels had 30% greater grip strength and way better physical performance overall than those who were even slightly deficient in magnesium. That's a big difference, especially when it comes to everyday tasks.
A 30% increase in grip strength. That's incredible. So how can we make sure we're getting enough magnesium?
Superagers, they load up on magnesium-rich foods, dark leafy greens like spinach and kale, all kinds of nuts and seeds, even dark chocolate, which is a nice bonus, right? They might also take magnesium supplements, especially those that are easily absorbed, like magnesium glycinate or magnesium threonate.
Okay, what's the next essential nutrient on our list?
Creatine. Now, I know a lot of people think creatine is only for young athletes and bodybuilders, but actually it's super beneficial for seniors too. Research from McMaster University, they found that seniors who took creatine, along with doing strength training, gained more muscle, got stronger, and even had improvements in their brain function compared to those who just did strength training alone. Just 3 to 5 grams a day can make a difference. It helps your muscles produce more energy and creates a better environment for them to grow and stay healthy.
Wow, so creatine isn't just for the younger crowd. What about B vitamins? You specifically mentioned methylated B12.
You got it. B12 absorption. It gets trickier as we age. Our stomachs produce less acid, which is needed to absorb B12. And certain medications, like metformin and proton pump inhibitors, they can also interfere with B12 absorption. This is a problem because B12 is essential for muscle energy and healthy nerve function. Those nerves, they send signals to your muscles to contract, so they need to be in tip-top shape. Superagers, they often take methylcobalamin, that's the active form of B12 that the body can use right away, instead of cyanocobalamin, which is the kind found in most multivitamins.
And lastly, you mentioned a group of minerals that are important cofactors for muscle health. What are they and why are they so important?
These are trace minerals like zinc, selenium, and chromium. They're kind of like the supporting cast in the muscle building process. They help with protein synthesis, which is how your body builds new muscle, and they also improve insulin sensitivity, which means your body can use the nutrients from food, including protein, more efficiently. A study from Tufts University, they followed seniors for 5 years, and guess what? Those who had enough of these trace minerals kept 22% more muscle mass than those who were deficient. Instead of just taking a regular multivitamin, which might not have enough of these specific nutrients, it's better to get a micronutrient test. This can pinpoint exactly which nutrients you're lacking, so you can take targeted supplements that address your individual needs.
That personalized approach makes a lot of sense. Now, on to habit number 6. This is one I hadn't really thought about before. Preserving neuromuscular junctions. What are they, and how do they affect muscle strength as we age?
This is a fascinating one, John, and it's often overlooked. You see, as we get older, it's not just our muscles that age. The connection between our nerves and muscles, those neuromuscular junctions, they start to decline too, especially after 60. It's like the wiring between your brain and your muscles starts to get a little frayed. These junctions are basically the communication points that allow your brain to send signals to your muscles, telling them to contract. So even if your muscles are strong, if the signal is weak, you won't be able to use them effectively. It's like having a powerful engine, but the spark plugs aren't working properly. Research from the University of Michigan shows that superagers, they have much healthier neuromuscular junctions than others their age.
So even if the muscle is there, the signal to activate it might be weak. That makes sense. What can we do to keep these connections strong and healthy?
The good news is there are things we can do. One of the best strategies is to do activities that require a lot of coordination and accuracy. Things like Tai Chi, different types of dance, tennis, even ping pong can be more beneficial than just walking or regular strength training for these nerve muscle connections. These activities force your brain to fire specific muscle fibers in precise sequences, which helps to strengthen the connection. A 2020 study in the Journal of Physiology found that seniors who did these types of activities just twice a week preserved their neuromuscular junctions 31% better than those who did other types of exercise.
So it's not just about lifting heavy weights, it's about moving with precision and intention. What else can help these connections?
There are certain nutrients that can support these junctions too. Alpha-lipoic acid and acetyl L-carnitine, they protect against oxidative damage, which can harm those connections. And certain types of vitamin B1, like benfotiamine and thiamine from Chinese Club Moss, they help boost acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that's really important for muscle activation. Superagers, they often do breathing exercises that stimulate the vagus nerve, which plays a key role in communication between the nerves and muscles. One simple technique is box breathing. Breathe in for a count of 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4, and repeat for about 5 minutes. Studies suggest this can increase neural activation of muscles by up to 15%. And get this challenging, your brain can also help. A study from Columbia University found that seniors who did mentally stimulating activities had better muscle function. It shows how connected our brain and body really are.
So taking care of these neuromuscular junctions is a holistic approach. It's not just exercise. It's nutrition, breathing, even keeping our brains active. Amazing. All right, Sarah, we've reached habit number 7, the one you said is the most important. It's engaging in progressive resistance training. We all know that lifting weights is good for building muscle, but what makes the superager approach to strength training so different and so effective?
You're right, John. Progressive resistance training, it really is the cornerstone of staying strong as we age. Tufts University researchers, they even call it the most effective anti-aging intervention ever studied. But the way superagers approach resistance training, it's often different from what's typically recommended for seniors. The key principle here is use it or lose it. But after 60, you need to challenge your muscles more than just walking or doing water aerobics or even lifting the same light weights. To really maintain and build muscle, you've got to push those muscles beyond their comfort zone.
So it's about constantly challenging our muscles to get stronger. What are the specific things that superagers do differently in their strength training?
First off, they focus on intensity, not just duration. A study from McMaster University found that high-intensity resistance training, just twice a week, was more effective than moderate intensity training 5 times a week. And the key to those high-intensity workouts, training to the point of momentary muscle failure. This means you literally can't do another rep with good form. This sends a huge signal to your body to build muscle, and that signal can last for up to 72 hours after your workout.
Intensity over duration, I got it. What else do they focus on?
They love compound movements. These are exercises that work multiple muscle groups at once, like squats, deadlifts, of course modified if needed, rows, presses, and pulls. They're more efficient than isolation exercises that only work one muscle group at a time, like bicep curls or leg extensions. Plus, compound movements trigger a bigger hormonal response, which helps with muscle growth.
Compound movements check. What else is part of their strength training strategy?
Progressive overload. This means gradually increasing the weight or difficulty of your exercises over time. See, your muscles are incredibly adaptable. If you keep lifting the same weight, they'll eventually stop getting stronger. Superagers understand this. They track their workouts and always aim to do a little bit more each time, whether it's adding weight, doing an extra rep, or increasing the number of sets. And one more thing. They pay close attention to the eccentric phase of their exercises. That's the lowering part of the movement, like when you lower the weight during a bicep curl or slowly squat down. Studies have shown that this eccentric phase is super effective for building strength in seniors, even those who start later in life, because it creates more tension in the muscle while putting less stress on the joints.
That makes a lot of sense. You mentioned a study where seniors had amazing results with progressive resistance training. What were those results?
Oh yeah, that study was from the University of Alabama. They had a group of 70-year-olds doing progressive resistance training. In just 12 weeks, they gained an average of 3.3 pounds of muscle and increased their strength by 35%. They also had improvements in their blood sugar control, bone density, even cognitive function. It really shows that resistance training is a total body benefit.
It sounds like that old myth that weight training is too risky or not important for seniors is totally wrong.
Absolutely. Actually, not doing resistance training as we age, that's what's risky. It can lead to weakness, falls, and loss of independence. If there's one habit to really prioritize, it's this one. Of course, it's important to start with proper guidance from a professional, like a physical therapist or a certified trainer. They can help you learn the right technique and start at a safe intensity level. And remember, you don't have to spend hours at the gym. Just 2 30-minute sessions a week can make a world of difference.
Wow, Sarah, this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive. So let's recap those 7 habits that can help us stay strong, like superagers. We've got incorporating hormetic stressors, timing our protein intake, optimizing vitamin D levels, managing inflammation, getting enough of those key vitamins and minerals, preserving our neuromuscular junctions, and, of course, making progressive resistance training a priority.
Exactly, John. And the good news is, it's never too late to start. Even small changes can have a big impact on your strength, health, and independence down the road.
So to our listeners, we encourage you to think about which of these habits resonates with you the most, which one seems easiest to start with. And most importantly, think about which habit could make the biggest difference in your life, your long-term health and well-being. What's one small step you can take this week to make it happen? It's all about making choices today that set you up for a stronger, healthier tomorrow. Thanks for diving deep with us.